Welcome back. So I'm taking a look at a few of these statistics. Get this, back in 2014, in terms of radio consumption, that was the highest year with 92%. So it comes down all the way to 2019. Radio consumption now stands at about 66%. Nevertheless, the number of radio stations has gone up. In 2015, the number of radio stations in Kenya were 120. Right now, as we speak, it's 173. So Fred, earlier on, the irony of my question, despite those numbers that you've just had, the number of radio stations have gone up. Yes, the consumption has gone down, but the numbers have gone up. What is happening? Is radio dead? Is it dying? Is it... Talk to me. I know.
Radio will never die. Radio is here with us for a long time. That is according to me. I can see a few developments. For example, now the podcasts people want to record.
You're calling them the podcast people?
No, I'm saying...
the podcast people want to record.
Yeah,
okay.
People want to record and listen to the radio broadcast later. That does not mean they are not listening to radio. They are still listening to radio in a different way. Previously, we used to record and broadcast later. All right? Now, the listener is recording to listen to radio later. So it doesn't make radio any irrelevant. It just switches the habits from what used to be to what is going to be.
Right. I was actually going to come to Adelle, but I can see you two gentlemen have picked up your mics. Adelle, and we'll come to you as well. You interact a lot with young people. Your radio career started, like you said, at USAU. Are young people listening to radio?
Yeah, I think I totally agree with what Fred said. It's more about the platforms. So the access to content has become, content is more readily available, and it adjusts to your life. Before, you had to wake up at 6 a.m. to listen to a breakfast show on your favorite station. If the station understands that times are changing, then now you're able to listen to that 6 a.m. show at 9 p.m. Right? So you can still listen to it. But I also think because there's more competition, because at the same time I'm making the choice. So before, I was making a choice between 10 radio stations or 15, depending on language or the music and whatever. But now I'm making the choice whether to listen to that breakfast show of yours vis-a-vis watching my favorite show on Netflix or on Showmax, or going to sleep, or to, you know what I mean? So, I mean, people like, of you, Sasa, yes. Yes.
So, remember the platform, go on, check it out, keep going. I have to do that plug. Especially later.
Especially views.
Especially views, Sasa. Carry on.
The content is out there. People like Netflix say their main competition is sleep. So the competition for content is what is, changing, making radio have to change how many platforms its content can exist on, right? So I don't think, when I say that maybe many young people, and this is like a stretch because you have to look in urban settings and all of that, many young people may not tune in to the boombox or whatever, but they may be listening on their phones, or they may watch a radio interview on YouTube. Yeah. Or view Sasa. Right?
Good. All right.
Actually, like Fred says, and she says, radio will not die. The way radio is consumed is what is going to change. Remember when TV came, they said this is the death of radio. What happened?
TV died.
Yeah. Actually, TV is exactly following the same script that radio has been through. Okay. Remember, at first you had the 14-inch TVs, and you were the person. Then it came to now, unless you have a 100-inch screen, you don't have a TV. For radio, it started from there, the gramophone, the master's voice, then it moved to the smaller ones, then it moved to what Munene had at the university, but today, you have your radio on your hand through the mobile. So it's how it's consumed. Like she says, you can listen to breakfast at 9 p.m. You can listen to an interview now, later on. It's how that platform is consumed. And again, just like I told you earlier, Geopol is a US-based media research firm. They did a research at the beginning of this year, and they said that 24% of the youth in Kenya between ages of 15 and 24 consume the radio. Now shift to the ages of 24 to 35, and the number rises from 24% to 28%. What does that tell you? The older they grow, the more they listen to the radio. Yeah.
And they're not going to stop growing.
And they're not going to stop growing.
So you can expect more viewers. Come in with them.
Yes, and
listeners,
again,
rather.
as she puts it, the young people could be consuming radio differently. Now, what matters is the radio presenters to move with the technology.
How have you been moving with technology yourself?
Broadcasting live on Facebook, because there's another whole generation that is not on radio, that cannot own radio, but they have their phones, they can afford internet, so they want to follow you on the technology that they have today. Again, we know they listen to music from all other sorts of sources, but still they want that flow, that I can play this song and another one and another one. Actually, they still request songs, although they have it on YouTube and other sources, but they want you to play it so that they can listen several of them and you can dedicate it to several others. So when you move with the technology, radio still remains the king. Look at news. Nowadays, news is released earlier on social media platforms, but still they come back to confirm. What happens today? We used to wait for 1 o'clock news so that we can hear what Mutukufu Rais did. But today, the social media will break the news. You'll know the president has left the country through social media. You'll know John DiMatteo has passed on through social media. But you wait, has Inoro confirmed? So they still come back. So still, radio remains the king.
Right. Talia, let me rope you in, because she's talked about how she's had to be more creative with her listeners. She goes live on Instagram. You're a young person, you have a crazy following on social media, be it Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Being on radio is just not enough, because then again, you're also on TV.
Yes, I am both on radio and TV.
And then there's social media.
And then there's social media.
So isn't radio not enough?
Radio is enough, but I love being on both radio and TV. It's different. You know, on TV, they see you. They see what you're doing, but on radio, they just hear you. But the thing with radio is that I can go and do my show from anywhere. I don't have to be in the studio.
Right.
I can pick my show and do it in your backyard. Where are you? You're in Nyeri. I will come to you and I'll do my show from where you are. Where are you? You're in school? You're in a university? I can come and sit with you in class and do my show from where you are. I don't have to do it, you know, from the studio. I can come to, you know, this is something that we were not able to do back in the day.
And speaking of TV and radio, though, that is Professor Hamo and Jeff Koinange on your screens right now on Hot 96. Both of them, Koinange himself is also on TV as well. So
That's
you can
right.
see there's that convergence between radio and TV, which has become quite popular in our industry. Munene, I can already see you have the microphone. Do you want to jump already?
He's on that standby position
I know,
for
go
ready
ahead.
to speak.
I'm very standby. I think looking at the statistics that you're reading, the
Yes.
question is, who did radio lose to? Because listeners don't dissolve in the air.
Yeah.
You know, who did you lose to? And if you look at the stats, TV grew, social media, in the broad sense, WhatsApp, grew most.
Exponentially,
But
effectively.
more so, why TV grew is because TV started doing what radio does.
TV started doing what radio does.
TV started doing breakfast shows.
Right.
TV never had breakfast shows.
It was cartoons.
TV started going live. TV started going to the market where radio would go. Like Jenny is saying, TV started going to the campuses. So radio was doing something right, which then TV took on. And then
copied.
TV sets became cheap. So they're in all the banks, in the reception. When you sit there, you find a television set.
Right.
So that increment is not necessarily because the previous medium was not doing something right, but it's just because the dynamics have changed. TV has become more affordable. It's almost everywhere, and you can participate. It's interactive.
Yeah, except for one thing, Monene.
Yes.
You can't watch TV when driving.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. On the
You can't watch TV when you are asleep. You can't watch TV when you are in the shower. You can't watch TV. I mean, this is why radio is still king. You just have to give it to radio. And if you allow me, people, I just wanted us to go through the evolution
of radio. Can you hang on for me, because I had a question for you. Hang on, let him finish his point. Then I'm coming to you with that question.
I have a parallel I need to draw, because all of us sitting here have how many WhatsApp groups?
Oh, don't ask.
Many.
In fact,
Please.
someone sitting here, I won't tell you who, has their messages don't add me to any
I
more
know, on
groups.
WhatsApp.
I'm not pointing
We
fingers.
know them. We know them on WhatsApp.
Look at who is laughing loudest.
Yeah, she's the one.
Thank you for that tip, because I want to put that.
Don't add me in
And in
groups.
both.
Yeah, please.
Exactly.
Yeah, I saw
don't
that
add me
yesterday.
too.
So we have what? 173 radio stations.
Yes.
We consume radio the same way we participate on WhatsApp. We've got a group where we talk very serious things, whether it's politics. In fact, sometimes you get out of that, when that conversation is over, you are annoyed. Or there's a guy there, you're saying, this one nikimshika taniona. I've got a group where it's folks only. There you discuss matters family. There's another group where it's just very
Spiritual
social.
nourishment.
Then there's another group which you share the unmentionables. And if anyone shares anything serious on that group, like, what's wrong with this one? Can the administrator kick this one out? Why are you bringing serious things in a non-serious area?
Admin crack the whip.
Exactly. And so that's how radio programs are structured. Because what Fred Obach does and who he's serving is not necessarily going to be palatable to me. But I could have people who cut across all the... I have friends who are in like 20 of those WhatsApp groups, which I'm like in 50. And then out of those 50, you'll find there are some people who consistently are in some of those groups. Because you have to understand what your consumer wants, when they want it, for how long. And I think that is the science that is now left to programmers and even the presenters. Because if you don't understand that, then you become a winger. You know, the guy who just checks in and says, Sasa leo tunadu. I mean, with time, the listeners just kick you aside.
Because you don't have focus, you don't have direction.
There is more to be consumed, and then they go elsewhere.
Right.
Okay.
And I think, sorry, just to jump in on what you said, when we say radio is king, I think we also have to remember that content is king.
Yes.
And the content competition is real.
Sure.
So even if we say we're in our radio studio and we're broadcasting live or we're using these different platforms, I think it goes back to your point, what exactly are we broadcasting? Do the audience give a damn about what it is you're saying? Are you speaking in the language they speak in their WhatsApp groups and stuff like that? So as much as a platform can be king, what sits on that platform
is the content.
Right,
That is what is so important. But let's
content is key.
Yes.
Content is key. You see, I am a radio DJ, Rumba radio DJ, and also on Citizen TV, Roga. We don't play music because our listeners don't have the same music in their houses. They do. In fact, some listeners have as much music as probably the radio stations.
Yes.
All right?
Or more.
Or more. But they will still tune into some show because there is something that is added to that song. If you're listening to a rumba tune, the way it is presented, the way it is analyzed, and dished out for your listening pleasure is different from when you just find it on YouTube, View Sasa or whatever and just play. It is different, and that is the difference that attracts your audience.
But tell me this, you've obviously been forced to change your format over the years. It's not that they accept the way things were. What do you do differently now?
I don't know what I do differently, but there is a lot that I do differently because I have to know the demographics of the people listening to me. I have to do my research and know that if people are in a matatu, they probably don't have the benefit of listening to a song for 15 minutes. So I have to know when to change that song without offending the people who will have wanted to listen to it for 15 minutes.
And
I have to know that what I ad-lib or what I say is complimenting that song and not, irritating my audience.
And
actually, that is the point of departure for me.
Okay.
Content remains king, but the challenge now is, you remember the hypodermic theory, that whatever the media or radio gives you is what you consume. It's no longer the case. Today, the media has to give me, the radio has to give me what I want, not what they feel is right. That for me is a point of departure and is the biggest challenge for radio.
Right.
Yeah, not all these other platforms.
Whether I'd love to hear from you, and even Tali on this specific question, how different is it that you prepare for TV vis-a-vis how you prepare your content for radio? Fred has already roped us into the conversation of having to do your research and understand your demography. So how it is you prepare for One Love, is it different from how you prepare from radio? How you prepare for your newscast on TV, is it different from how you prepare as from radio? Walk me through that. Right there, then I'll come to Italia.
Yes, it's quite different. I also do a TV show also on Inoro TV where I host some lawyers, and preparation is quite different because, you know, like the way now you're holding papers, I thought you cannot go reading throughout, you know, you have to keep looking at me. I understand when I finish the show, when I tell them Tigona Vega, they say, how have you left me? You know, because I've been addressing you, you know, face to face. We've been talking, so I don't have time to keep going back to papers. And as Machoka said earlier, when I'm going to radio, I don't think about how I'm dressed up, where my notes could be. You can see even today I had carried a notebook, you know. I can keep on referring back, you know. I can keep on researching as I continue broadcasting. Okay. I can do different things when I'm on air, when I'm on radio. But when I'm on TV, I have to go there refined, ready to do presentation, and I want the viewers to look at me as an expert.
Right. All right. So Talia, what does preparation? What does your preparation game look like for radio and for TV?
For me, it's the same. For me, it's the same. The only difference is for TV, I have to make sure my makeup is right and my outfit is fly. You understand? But with radio, I've gone to do my show in pajamas before. No one really cares because no one was, you know, looking at me at the time. But right now, you know, they can see what's happening in the studio. You have to post, you know, your Insta stories for people to see. You have to post a picture, you know, just to let guys know you're actually in the studio. But it's pretty much the same. But yes, I do rely on social media to know, you know, what's happening with a particular artist. What did they post yesterday? Do they have a new song out? Have they posted it? But for me, for radio and TV, it's more or less the same when it comes to prepping.
Is there one that you enjoy more than the other?
No, I love them both because it's all about music for me.
Radio is more enjoyable, you know. Yes, mostly I actually broadcast without shoes. I put off my...
So with that, like, it does have freedom.
Until very recently, radio was a lot more fun. You could go with in a pajama, but that's not the case. I'll give you the example of Ramogi Radio now. I think it's a pioneer visual radio station in the country. It's as good as TV. The only difference is that it's radio.
So no more pajamas, and you need that makeup now. You need that makeup now.
You need makeup. You need to dress up. You need to prepare as well. You need to be in the right frame of mind and all.
Yeah, you have to have that makeup on so that when they meet you at the supermarket, I
think being the traditionalist here is that I think there's a time that I want the camera in the radio studio.
Yes,
but not
not all the time.
Take away the intimacy
because you actually do injustice to the radio listener.
Yes.
Because sometimes TV makes you focus to a viewer.
You kind of
and sometimes you're doing a lot of illustrations.
Yes.
And the guys on radio don't know what you're saying.
Yes.
You might even have a guest who says, now this thing looks like this. So for the guy in the farm, looks like what?
What?
Or I mean Namatatu. What does it look like? She didn't give me a how. I'm big and gumi hizi. And I think that staying true to the brand is very, very important. Because at the end of the day, remember the medium serves somebody who is usually doing something else. Because radio is a very passive medium. Yes. Similarly, even when you're doing your research, I think the people who give you the most honest opinion are your passive listeners. Because every medium has got your firecrackers. You know, the guy who is on every show, on every station, they're good. They are very good. They're like the guys who you see during rallies. You know, it's the guy who will die for your flag.
Number one.
They are the animators.
Yes.
But they're not the ones who win the election. The guys who win the election are the guys who have sat and have made their decisions, and they're not necessarily shouting, and they're doing it amongst themselves because your content matters. And I think the biggest challenge for radio is balancing relevant content with commercial aspects. Okay. Because the commercialization of radio sometimes kills content.
Okay, we're going to have to take a break there. I can see
they want to jump back.
Respond to that. Yeah. We'll come back with that. But remember also, for you watching at home, you can weigh in on this, and I hope we have some tweets and SMSs that we can read after this. 22422 is the SMS line. The hashtag is Daybreak. What are we asking guys this morning?
What are some of those favorite memories that you reminisce about radio? Really hearts from some of our audiences right here. We want to hear from you. Some of your favorite memories when you think about radio. Text us on 22422, tweet us at Citizen TV Kenya, hashtag Daybreak. We'll be right back.